from Massachusetts' 7th District, the incredible, well-known fighter for all of those rights, Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley. How are you doing?
Well, I'm in Martha's Vineyard, the place where I believe Oak Bluffs in particular, where Black joy is unbridled. So I'm doing great.
When you think of Black joy, what does it say to you? What does it mean to you?
Okay, let me take us back for a moment. Many years ago, I had the honor of meeting Dr. Angelou, someone who was a huge influence on my life. And when I met her, I asked her to sign something for me. And she said yes, and then kind of shooed me away, and I kept returning. You know, I didn't want to be encroaching, but it's like, okay, can I have it? And so I thought she must have been just heavily ruminating on what message to, provide me. So finally she beckoned me back, and she gave me, it was a napkin, because that's all I had for her to sign and to write a message on. And she only wrote the word joy. Exclamation point. And then she just signed it. I have it framed, today. But, I thought about the fact that here is the Maya Angelou, a poet, an orator, a scholar, a freedom fighter, an artist, a dancer, a creative being. She could have written anything. And in fact, I thought she was writing me a soliloquy, okay?
Yeah, a poem.
And I said, why did she only choose these three letters, this one word? And it sort of set me on a journey to better understand what is joy and how is it different from happiness. And I've decided that it's something deeper and more enduring. Unfortunately, joy should be a birthright, especially for Black people. But I think it's something that we've had to inform, and we've had to earn our joy. And so a lot of the work that I do is about creating a safe space where we're intentional in informing, preserving, and expressing our joy unapologetically.
You speak of joy with such clarity of purpose, and it is the theme of this year's 23rd Annual Martha's Vineyard African American Film Festival. How does Congresswoman Pressley walk through the halls of power and maintain her joy in a system that doesn't always treat people that look like you and me very well? How do you maintain your joy?
Well, it's a test and a challenge every day.
Okay. Yes, it is.
However, I've only been a congresswoman for 8 years, but I've been Black my whole life.
Okay.
And so, I'm not new in being tested in my ability to inform and preserve my joy and to take up that space unapologetically. So joy is very important to me. I cling to it because it is a birthright. But yeah, and I find joy with my family. I find joy in quiet moments. I find joy in walking barefoot through grass. I find joy in watching a sun rise with my daughter. I'm very intentional. Very, very intentional about that.
You spoke, and I saw pictures. I can see that sunrise with your daughter. I can see walking the halls. I can see you being Black your whole life.
Right.
What do you feel art plays in the way it can depict the African-American experience? Because the film festival gives a stage for Black creators. How important do you feel that stage is and that depiction of us is through art?
Oh, it's essential. Again, there is art, artists, creatives are necessary for innovation, are necessary for progress, are necessary for revolution. I'm thinking a lot about what kind of art will come out of this moment in time. But all forms of art, and our cultural institutions and Black authors and Black stories and Black history, Black joy, all of these things are under assault. And so that's why, we have to be that much more unapologetic in our expressions of it and that much more vigorous in defense of it, because there are people that seek to deny us it, to silence us, to oppress us, to marginalize that joy. They want us to shrink. I was speaking earlier about how, a lot of times in doing the work of justice, you can get so in the overwhelm of the sobering statistics and enumerating every inequity. You're doing the work of justice, so you're focused on where is all the injustice. But we are much more than hashtags. We are much more than our traumas. And, that is something that I come to appreciate now at the ripe old age of 51, but in this moment, it's so important. Artists, creative, storytelling, all of that is under attack. And so it's important that we vigorously defend it and that we take up all the space.
Taking up all the space. You come from a district that produced a president that said, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. What would you say, because it's always put on the politicians, Congresswoman, do this for me, do this for me. What would you tell young voters out there, young people who may be disenfranchised? What would you say that they can do for their country, for their cause, for this moment?
Well, I'm so glad you asked that question, and in particular that you brought up JFK, because interestingly enough, the seat that I hold in Congress is a seat that he once held. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that anyone could have predicted that one day this seat would be represented by an unapologetically Black, bald woman.
Say it again.
And, as I unapologetically rock that bald crown and navigate the corridors of power and take my seat at policy and decision-making tables, as Dr. Angelou reminds us, I come as one, I stand as 10,000. Mm. So I know that I'm taking up space, but I'm creating it too. And what I would say to young people, or really anyone, one of my siblings in justice work, the great Stacey Abrams, once said that we don't elect saviors, we elect partners. And that is true. Mm. You do not elect saviors, you elect partners.
Let's work together.
So do your homework, be thoughtful about who you want to enlist as a partner, and recognize that, yes, that relationship is about accountability, but it is a relationship. Mm. We have to do the work of cooperative governing. So everyone has a role to play. And it's not only about holding those accountable that are in these elected positions. Listen, you can't see the unprecedented moment that we find ourselves in and believe that the work of the defense of our democracy, the work in defense of our Black joy, the work in defense of arts and culture and history should only be left to 200 plus Democratic members in the U.S. House of Representatives? How dare you? Mm-hmm. How dare you? This is an unprecedented moment that requires unprecedented organizing, mobilizing, agitating, coalition building, legislating. We all have to summon from places deep within ourselves to do the work of defending our democracy, advancing this country. And what I think is most important and what guides myself and the work of my organization is to center the humanity and the dignity of all people. I didn't always, I wasn't always in this alopecia walk. This is a 5-year, walk. I had Senegalese twists for much of my adult life in recent years. This has been a transformation not of my choosing. I am keenly aware that how I show up for many people is disruptive. It is challenging societal norms about what is professional, what is appropriate, what is pretty. But I know that representation is important, and it means a lot to a lot of people. And I also do that because I do everything on purpose. Because I want everyone to be able to show up in the world fully, authentically, and unapologetically, exactly as they are, without fear and without discrimination. That is my North Star. That's what guides me every day. And that work is so important that it can't just be left to me alone. That is the work of the collective humanity.
And that is the challenge that you give.
And that is the challenge. So, so I invite you all to link arms with your good sister Congresswoman. Okay?
Listen.
And let's get to the work of humanity and justice.
Look, Barack Obama spoke of the audacity of hope. Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley gives us the hope to be audacious. Thank you so much for joining us.
The audacity of joy. Come on.
There you go. Thank you so much, Congresswoman.